What's up, everybody? It's cold in Kansas. All right, so how cold has it been here in Kansas?
All right, you Canadians. It's like 6 degrees here. So basically, we're in a hot tub.
It's real balmy for the Canadians. Texans would be freezing.
So it's 6 degrees. What's the wind chill's in the negatives? Or it's,
-9.
yeah.
Ish.
So it's
The worst part about it is if it was one day, it'd be totally fine. But it's like 10 days of forecast of 0 at night and high of 10 or 12.
so you guys have been working out in it.
Yeah, we mostly just got the chores done. We tried to do as much as we could last week while the weather was still nice.
It was
to
super
be
nice
ready for the
week.
cold because we knew it was coming.
Yep.
So last week we took out these trees in our yard here. So we did not used to be able to see over to the barn there. There used to be a tree line from that pole over to those other two trees. So now the yard is really opened up nice, and we're pretty excited about that. We had some comments on taking out the trees. I don't know if you guys saw that post. We took out this tree line that's been here for 50 years. Our dad helped plant those when he was probably a teenager.
They found the trees in the pasture.
They
and then
transplanted them from the pasture to here. And that used to be the edge of the yard, and so that's where they put the windbreak. It made sense. Now 50 years later, that's pretty much the middle of our yard, and those trees, not only were they in the way, but they really weren't providing that much windbreak anymore. Most of them were starting to die, starting to thin out. And we've actually been taking out tree by tree over the years as they die, and then we finally just took the rest of them out.
There's also a bunch of oil field pipe in there and some other stuff. So
Yeah.
we didn't just move the trees, we had to move all the stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of junk
in
in the tree line that we moved to other places, tried to get organized. But people were complaining on our post about, oh, you taking trees out, you're tree killers, whatever they said. And we're gonna probably either plant a new tree line here where the new edge of the yard is, or we'll come up with some sort of other windbreak. We're not just getting rid of all the trees on our farm for fun. We like trees.
Also, all the plants we grow on all the different acres of crops sequester carbon the same way that trees do.
Yeah, and they weren't so concerned about carbon. It was more just windbreak and preventing another Dust Bowl. So, just a quick history lesson. 100 years ago, when the Dust Bowl happened, almost all the farmers in the Midwest here tilled their fields, planted continuous wheat, at least in our area, planted continuous wheat, and just did a lot of things that we don't do anymore. And that's what caused the Dust Bowl. It wasn't necessarily a lack of trees. 150 years ago, when Kansas was settled, there really were no trees here. It was just a vast prairie. You might have found some trees along the rivers or along the lakes and such, but here in central Kansas, there really weren't any trees. You can see the historical photos online of what central Kansas used to look like. So trees really aren't a natural part of this area. It wasn't like when farmers settled here 150 years ago that they cleared all the land to be farmed.
There was no forest.
Yeah, it was already cleared. It was just grass. They just tilled up the grass, started planting crops.
Home on the range. Range, no trees, no forest.
Not in the forest. Not home in the forest. So anyway, here in Kansas, when people complain about us taking out trees, it's kind of like, well, most all the trees here were planted. They weren't like, it wasn't like a natural forest or anything. And I think especially when you're taking out an old tree line that was diseased and had issues and was in the way, and you're hoping to plant a new one, there's really nothing wrong with what we did. So I just wanted to clear that up. So what else did we do this past week?
We also had a new tractor delivered. So we've been making plans. We've been making plans for a 16-row planter to plant with this spring, and we needed
Instead of our
12-row, and we needed some more horsepower and more hydraulic capacity for a bigger planter. So
we're excited.
Moved up to this 7215R John Deere tractor.
And what did we trade for that?
And we traded the 7410.
So we basically doubled the horsepower of
Technically the
planting.
bidirectional.
And the bidirectional both kind of traded for this tractor. We were
I
able
buy
to get it,
bidirectional.
buy it from our cousins, so that was kind of cool. We got a
Came over
used
from
tractor
Colorado.
Yep. All right, we relocated to my truck because it was getting cold.
Well, Nathan had to answer a phone call.
Nathan had to answer a phone call.
And I was like, I'm not waiting more than 3 minutes from.
We don't have a heated shop yet. Maybe someday. So this is the south side of our yard where we would potentially need windbreak.
There's our
the tree
trees that we
piles.
just pushed out, currently being a windbreak for the cows.
Those trees used to be over here, like we said, and now see it's a new windbreak right there. We're preventing the dust bowl for the cows. But potentially in the future we could plant a tree line on the back side of these bales. Because this is kind of the new edge of the yard now, but the old tree line was right in the middle there, and it would just cause snow to drift right in the middle of our yard and make it muddy. But now we have a nice big open yard here.
It gives us a lot better access to the new grain bin right there.
So there's our new grain bin that you saw get constructed, and then
It's still pretty full. We've been hauling grain out of it.
yeah, we were loading grain out of that last week when it was still warm. So we got that done. But now see, the yard is nice and open, and maybe someday we could put a new shop in this area here, right next to this building. We need this building for equipment storage, but we also need a heated place to park things like the sprayer or work on things, stuff like that.
So hopefully when it warms up and dries out a little bit, we will be putting fertilizer on the wheat. And then we also have some alfalfa bales to move off the edge of a field to get them home while the ground is still frozen. Oh, we're going to drill some oats to chop and possibly bale later in the year. So they'll be planted by either end of February or early March.
So that's kind of what we've been up to the last week or two. Oh man.
And paperwork, which is no fun.
Yeah, there's always seems to be office work to do when it's cold.
Scrolling on Big Iron, looking for new stuff and selling old stuff is more fun than paperwork.
We've also been filming a few videos. We just got done with one that should be posted probably the same week that you watch this. It'll be some cows dancing to the Get Up song. So that turned out to be a pretty good video. You tired back there? Sleepy?
Sleepy.
So we've been working on videos, working on bookwork, doing some different things, but it's supposed to be in the single digits here for 10 days, I think. We're on day 2.
Well, yeah,
Something like
day
that.
2.5.
But we know that there will be comments on this video from up north that says that single digits isn't cold. And then there'll be comments from down south that says, single digits, how do you guys ever survive? Fahrenheit, yeah.
America.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is America.
We deal with Fahrenheit, but when it gets to negative 40, Fahrenheit and Celsius are the same. So
Oh, we're almost there.
almost there. We're at -9 wind chill. So I was in Canada once, speaking at an event in Canada. It was Saskatoon, and it was -40 actual temp, and then the wind chill was -70. And that was cold. I think that is cold right there. I don't think anyone can argue that. But also in Kansas, sometimes I felt that -70 in Canada, and there's times in Kansas here where it's single digits and the wind's blowing and it's it's like a wet cold. And to me, I can't really tell the difference. It hurts both ways. So
I answer this phone call.
oh, Kendall's got a phone call. All right, 9 degrees Fahrenheit. And the cattle are staying warm. They got their windbreak over there by the hay shed.
I think it's funny we call that shed the hay shed. I've never seen a hay bale in it my whole life. Just equipment, and we let cattle in the west and the east side.
That's because you're a young pup.
But apparently,
In the good old days, that whole shed was filled with small square bales.
I remember stacking square bales in there. Dad would come and he'd set them in there, and then I would rearrange them by hand.
I, as a token younger sibling, missed out on that.
You missed out on plowing. You missed out on square bales.
Square bales.
Driving the 6620.
Yeah, all the good stuff.
I did drive.
So how do the cattle stay warm? Talk about that.
They eat a lot. We feed them.
How do cattle regulate their body temperature?
Well, their rumen creates a lot of heat as it digests all the different stuff we feed them because they eat a lot of roughage. So they pretty much warm from the inside out, and then they don't get, I mean, cattle are adjusted to their climate. I mean, there's cattle that are raised by the equator, and there's cattle that are raised really far north, and partly the genetics help them. So there's genetic features in different breeds that help them.
I saw on Twitter the other day that somebody was saying how the reason the snow doesn't melt on their backs is because that cold doesn't penetrate their coat to the point where the warm that's inside them doesn't penetrate their coat either, to where it would melt the snow. So that's kind of cool. And we didn't have clothes on, the snow would melt real fast. Got a little icy mustache there, bro. Ken, why's your truck up here?
I had to jump start the tractor this morning.
Oh.
Didn't quite have enough.
So that's one thing that you had to do, was jump start the tractor because it was so cold.
It was cold.
Have you had to jump any tractors at the other?
The heater.
And then what about the water?
Working,
So
but
have you been unfreezing?
I kicked 2 waters. The ball had froze to the top this morning, but that was pretty easy. The heated one, these pens here, they've got that heated Johnson water, and it works real nice. You just flip the heater on whenever it gets down below like 20 degrees. And then the new water that we put in, the brand new one, we put that water line in for, it's working great because it was leveled so well, and none of the balls had cracked or anything, so it's been no stress.
On the bridge by my parents' house, this is where we 3 of us brothers always used to come down here and play by the creek. I just thought I'd show you guys the snowy scene. 9 degrees Fahrenheit. It's been snowing the last couple days. The bales are covered with snow, and it's just kind of peaceful out here. I'm gonna head over to the other feedlot over here to do chores. Here's the pasture that the cows are in. I don't see them. I think they might be down there by the pond where I can't see them. It's nice. So we got some cattle over here. We switched the M7 back to being the loader tractor. We had it on the feed wagon, but the 7410 was traded. And so then we had to switch, and we got the 7430 on it now. And so we're using M7 to load. We're feeding with this. And so I'm gonna go feed the cattle. Got them fed. Kobe's having fun running around in the snow, but I think he's getting cold. You want to ride in the tractor? Come here. He knows what's up. Up, up. Good boy. Oh, not in the seat. It's my seat. That's where I gotta sit. You cold, Kobe? I'm pretty cold. All right, gonna pull her back in the shed here. All right, next we're gonna driving my truck up here to where all the paddocks meet together here at the center of this pasture, and I'm gonna feed the cows some silage. This road is kind of rough. It's kind of rough. Oh, there's the cows. They were kind of hiding from me down in that low area over there. You guys ready to eat? You girls ready to eat? Yeah, I hear that. I feel that. It's cold. All right, I can't do this with 2 hands, so. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video today. Again, we don't do a whole lot when it's super cold like this in the single digits, but we do take care of cattle and do planning and talk about stuff and work inside. And, still always stuff to do on the farm, as they say. Oh, I have my seatbelt on. It thinks Kobe needs to have his seatbelt on. That's why I was dinging. I was like, what? I have my seatbelt on. Hope you, please remember to click subscribe and like the video if you could, and leave us a comment if you have any questions. And hope you guys have been enjoying the videos lately. We appreciate you watching them. See you next time.